Studio XM102. This is Alice Proffit. We're going to be talking about the Living Well grant cycle, which is about to commence.
Yeah.
That is Mr. Art Neville, not Aaron Neville. Boy, the Nevilles. I was just wondering, you know, I have this, I'm sitting next to a singer right now, and I'm not going to ask you to sing there, Alice Proffit.
I know, but with this mic, it's like, like I think that's what I'm supposed to do.
You can break out anytime in song, but at the Godley household, we have some talent, and it's not vocally, though. Not vocally. And typically, I would dare say, in America, when they sing Happy Birthday, it kind of sounds like, you know, it's a grind, but could you imagine being in the Neville household when they sang Happy Birthday? Or
it sounded like church, probably, all the
not only that, yeah.
music and harmony.
Or Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
it's like, so.
yeah.
So what was singing Happy Birthday like in the Proffit household?
Well, my mom came from a very large family, so we were like, if you remember, the King family. And so we would definitely break out in song. There'd be lots of harmony. It was really fun. So my mother and dad both loved music. My dad ran a country music show, and that's how I started singing on stage at 9 years old.
Really? Where was that?
That was the Twin City Jamboree in West Monroe.
All right.
And so Daddy was one of the partners in it, and he was the MC. And my dad went on to even play on the same show that Elvis came to the West Monroe High School with the Louisiana Hayride. And I have a funny story if we have time.
We got time.
Okay, so Dad and his band, they were back there backstage, and they were young. They were so young. And Elvis comes up, and they're all on the same show, and they're talking and chatting and carrying on. And when Elvis walks away, one of Daddy's buddies hits him in the side with his elbow, and he says, "That boy'll never make it." And my dad told that story for many, many years. I've heard it for many years, but I always laugh at it. I'm like, oh, well, what did they know? You know, but they played everywhere. I used to tell people if there was a wedding, a funeral, a bar mitzvah, a grand opening, whatever, they were a country music show, that band was called to play it. Mm-hmm. And so lots of great memories. That's where I learned to sing, was being in a household like that. And my mom loved all kinds of music. So we had all kinds of music. Like we might wake up Sunday morning before getting going, and we'd hear the Reader's Digest best classical songs being played, you know. And then, of course, now I grew up in a family who were big Elvis fans. So I saw Elvis several times and was knocked out by watching my family enjoy Elvis, which was great.
When was the first? We'll get to the Living Well Foundation, you know, we're visiting.
We've got a lot of history together here, a long time.
Sure enough. No, I mean, but the very first time for you to see Elvis, my sister was in the house for Ed Sullivan when the Beatles came.
Oh, wow.
Somehow my father
Wouldn't that be fun?
Ask her, she's still around, and I get a goosebump. But so when was the first time for you for Elvis, and when did you hear like that I'm going to go see Elvis?
Oh gosh, when Elvis toured, when you know, they didn't let him go international because of all that history with Colonel Tom Parker. But anyway, yes, he went on tour then. Any time he was in the South, my aunts were going to see Elvis, mm-hmm. and they would load up several of us. Well, we started going with them as teenagers, and I remember seeing Elvis at the Astrodome, and he looked this big.
Right.
We were so far away, but they bring him in. He's down in the middle, so I saw Elvis there. But we went back to where he was staying in his hotel, and we were standing right here as he comes down the ramp and goes in, and I'll never forget it. My mom told me, I did not remember this, but I remember her telling me what I did. She said that I sat down on the ground and I go, "Oh my God, he's so beautiful." And she looked at me and she went, "See, I told you you'd be an Elvis fan." But I mean, we saw him in Monroe.
Right.
I saw him years later in Alexandria. I saw him 4 or 5 times, but my aunts went everywhere, and I always asked them, why didn't we go to Vegas? Well, they couldn't afford to go to Vegas, you know.
Right. On another note, and we will get to Living Well here, but
we will. Yes.
I'm kind of excited. The gentleman who's going to take my place at 10 o'clock is, you may or may not know him, Mike Stone.
Oh, yeah.
Sheriff Mike Stone, and he's having a great time doing the radio here and loves it and is musically inclined himself.
Yes, he is.
He did the Wildwood Express for years. Well, anyway, I'm saying all that to say that there are local Elvis stories in Ruston as well. Now, KRUS Studios used to be above Ponchatoula's, where that is right now. And as the story goes, Elvis went up there to...
This is so much more than people thought they were going to get this for.
It's more than I thought I was going to give. But he went up there to promote a record, and I forgot who the DJ was. I don't know. It wasn't me. And he said, "Do you like pie?" And Elvis says, "I love pie." He said, "We got the P.O. Cafe, which is right around the corner."
I remember the
so
P.O. Cafe.
Elvis, there's a walk for Elvis in Ruston that he went to the P.O. Cafe, bought 2 pies, didn't eat them. But he brought him with him to go to the hayride. So
I can believe it.
What are you doing here? Oh, okay. No. It's
we're reminiscing.
Right. The Living Well Foundation. First of all, reacquaint yourself because you're no stranger to Lincoln Parish, and now the Living Well Foundation has a broad scope of covering, including Lincoln Parish. So reacquaint yourself with folks who are going to watch this later.
Yeah, so it's really great to be back. I come to Ruston often, have lots of friends still here. My heart still has a part of it here because I was the CEO at the rehab hospital for many years, and many people in this community took care of a young lady who came to town and grew her career here and moved on to other things in healthcare. And so it's fun to be back seeing people. I told somebody when I got this job, because I had left the area, helped open a hospital system and went to Pennsylvania, did that, lived there a while, but then did healthcare consulting. So when I came back and I got this job, I remember telling people, I'm seeing all the people I used to know before, but we've just gotten older. And so it was fun to...
Not internally.
No. Everybody's still young at heart. But it was really great to reacquaint and see people and remember a lot of those mentors that took care of me and helped open doors for me here in Ruston. So I really became part of the community, and you were very gracious to me and Harry as we lived here. And so I miss Ruston a lot, and it's good to be back.
Well, it's good to have you back, but you haven't really gone too far, Alice, and you know as well as I. We live in a vertical city where it is Monroe, West Monroe, Ruston. It's only 28 minutes apart.
That's
but
right.
And so we need to work together, and the Living Well Foundation does work together. You are the director of the Living Well. Explain the scope of what Living Well is, and then we're going to get into the particulars because the grant cycle window is going to open soon.
That's right. The Living Well Foundation was created from the sale of Glenwood Regional Medical Center in 2006, and that was a public hospital, so it had to go to public vote to sell. And when it did sell, the monies were put by the police jury and the hospital service district into the Living Well Foundation so that those monies could be administered back out to the public benefit. So we can only grant to nonprofits, to state colleges and universities, to government entities that qualify. All this will be listed on the website to see who can qualify. But we put monies into nonprofit or government entities. So back to the health and well-being of populations in 8 parishes from which we serve. And those 8 include Ouachita, because that's where Glenwood was based, but then the parishes around that. We'll just see if I can do it all. It's Caldwell, Franklin, Jackson, Lincoln, Union, Richland, and Morehouse. Did I get it?
Yes, you got 7 plus Ouachita.
I've done it for 10 years,
good.
So by now it's time I learned it. But anyway, we put monies out into those parishes, and we're very excited about having the opportunity to be here today to talk about this for Lincoln Parish, but to try to find more ways to put money into Lincoln Parish. We funded quite a bit here. We've had a lot of support from the local area and from your Lincoln Health Foundation helps get our message out. And so that's what we're here doing, is trying to let especially the outlying parishes know that money's available. We're a local entity. We want to work with you to talk about projects, to talk about impact, to talk about sustainability, and that's what we're doing as we do this show.
You know, if one thing this COVID cacophony taught us was how to pivot and be creative, and I had the privilege to listen to you on a podcast once talking about the creativity of, because, well, first of all, you want to give the money away, and then when people write up a grant and things like COVID hit, not that that's ever hit before, but it hit, What story am I trying to remember that somebody wrote a grant and then you said, you know, is this making sense? You're looking at me like, well,
no,
what if we did this? And you said, that's a great idea. Let's do that. What am I saying?
Yeah. One thing that happened in the grant cycle one year is we had someone approach us about it was the Northeast Louisiana Children's Museum.
Oh, that's it.
Is
Yeah.
one, and they
a big heart, right?
That's right. That they had originally written their grant or had proposed renting a grant that came out renting a display that would come from Oregon, and that some places do this. They have these services or products that can be rented and go out, and that's how that place makes money too, is rent out what they bought. And so as the grant progressed, they weren't going to be able to access that. Well, we had given the money to the Northeast Louisiana Children's Museum to do that, so she approached us, and we tried to collaborate with them on she said, we think we're going to have to give the money back. And I went, well, wait a minute. Because we've granted the money, we've approved. Let's see if the board would approve you still trying to focus into what your grant objectives were. But is there another way you could do it? And she said, well, you know, for years we've been wanting to develop our own traveling exhibit. And we want to get with local healthcare professionals and create an anatomically correct heart that kids can walk into and experience and have educational interactions as they do so. This heart is as big as a house. And so the board approved doing that because we wanted to see them succeed and get their objectives met. And so they created their own traveling exhibit, which from our perspective was better anyway, because then it's ongoing and sustainable and a local investment, not something they're putting money somewhere else. So we definitely collaborate to see if we can help you achieve goals, but as long as they're within the objectives of your grant proposal.
So the objectives, though, for the Living Well Foundation Grant Cycle 2023 are up on the website. We don't need to go into those details right now, right? But the window, and then I heard you talking with Doug, a lot of folks have a want to, I wish I could get some money, but, well, the answer is you got to do. And actually,
you got to do, that's right. You got to take action.
Yeah, this isn't a wishing well. This is a living well. So, all right.
It's been a long time, Rick.
I know. Well, I've had a cup of coffee or two.
Okay.
All right. The focus, first of all, on your priorities of let's say a grant comes in. Does one get weighted above another as opposed to like Rick Godley writing a grant? Because I think humor is a key to healthier lifestyle, so I want you to underwrite my salary for the next year.
Okay.
That's not a priority, is it?
So, well, it depends on how many lives that impact, I guess. So let's talk about how funders prepare and get information out for a grant cycle. So there will be a focus and there will be priorities. And our priorities for this cycle are pretty broad. It's healthy lifestyles, access to health care, special needs of children and youth. And this year we're adding a focus because post-pandemic and the world we're living in, we're seeing the impact of this as well as many other things, but suicide prevention and intervention. So we'll add that to this cycle to begin to look at projects that have some type of evidence-based programming to do that. And so the focus is really broad. It's all, your project can address services for all ages, and we're looking for large impact. In other words, something that will have ongoing impact for populations, and that it can be sustainable, that once our funding is gone, that you will have a way to keep it going, and that collaboration. This is a big thing funders are looking at now, is how you work with others like municipalities, universities, other nonprofits, businesses. How do you collaborate to get these projects up and running and continuing? And so there's a lot of information, as you said, on the website that can be accessed, and we put out a broad distribution of information to get this out, and shows like this that help us do that.
All right, so the window will open on April 15th?
Yeah, you cannot apply until April 15th, and that's done on the website www.livingwellfoundation.net, and then you go to the grant menu, everything's menu driven, and click on apply for a grant, and that will take you to a third-party website where you will do everything online, and you just answer the questions. And this is how all funders do their process. You know, what are you asking for? Who will it involve? What people will you be using to do the services? What's your budget? What's your timeline? What's your goals? How will you measure that? And then you have to upload, of course, some background information and your financial depth and things like that. So you have uploads you do, and you have questions you answer.
One of the things in Lincoln Parish, school-based health centers, talk a little bit more about what that looks like and the need in, I guess, Lincoln Parish as well as other parishes. Is there a successful model going on?
Oh, absolutely. There are several school-based health centers in the region that we have participated in, because this is one of our initiatives. Along with dental hygiene, we also do school-based health centers as an initiative, and now we're adding suicide prevention and intervention. But for a school-based health center to be sustainable, because they're very costly to run, this is a full staffed medical professional medical clinic on the campus of a school. You can do it at elementary school, you can do it at the high schools. And so what happens is this team, this medical team, it's all professionals, are on site at the school, a nurse practitioner, a nurse, of course office scheduling folks, and mental health counselors. And so this entity becomes incorporated into that school campus, focused to the students and their needs. And the big advantage for the parents and the caregivers is that you don't have to leave work or get transportation to come get your kid to the doctor.
Right.
And that has helped the working population and the home-based population so much, because their kids can get services at school, and if there's anything serious that has to be transferred out to an ER or referred back to their family healthcare providers, then that referral is made. So these are based on school campuses, and we need one in Lincoln Parish. We're working so hard to get one in Lincoln Parish.
So is it on every campus, or is this a mobile unit that visits all the campuses?
No, it's on the campus. Space is made available. That's one thing we fund, is the startup staff costs, some of the equipment, and maybe either modular buildings or space, help renovate space in the school. There are many around the area. If anybody wants to go visit one, we would love to take you so that the interest could be built up here for Lincoln Parish. These are win-wins. It doesn't take away from your other medical services. It's not in competition with those. It's to be at the campus and serve that campus need. And especially think about the mental health issues right now with kids. I mean, we need that access readily, and they work hand in glove with the school boards to deliver those services to the benefit of those kids.
So who would write that grant? Would the school board write it? Would a third party write that, or?
Well, it's a collaboration, usually between school board, either federally qualified health centers, or someone else with deep pockets, because these things are expensive to run. You can't just, it's very hard for a hospital to do them, because hospitals are in the hospital business.
Right.
They're not really in the school-based health center business, and these need to be run as separate clinics, as say the clinic that you and I walk in to see our health at. The great thing about these is you've got medical, typically dental health and behavioral health in one place, but it does not take the place of their regular family physician or caregivers. And so there's many around the area that we can show someone. We just opened one a year ago in Union Parish, and we did that with a federally qualified health center, and the local hospital was involved and supportive in that. And what we try to do is go in the community, get support, answer any questions that may be going on about, you know, competition or risks or benefits, and let the community see that it really is a win-win for their setting. So usually you go into large schools, because you got to have a large base of kids there who maybe they're getting free lunch, maybe they're on Medicaid. You've got to have an underserved population. But the cool thing about school-based health centers is once they open, every child there can access it. So
Awesome, awesome. I think we've covered, or pardon me, whet the appetite for folks out there.
there you go.
Would you answer questions if somebody was to call 396-5066?
Absolutely. We're a local funder. We want this money to go out to the benefit. We work very closely with people. We do presentations. We talk to civic groups. We come talk to you about maybe what idea you're trying to generate. In fact, just recently I was with Louisiana Tech Group, and they brought some of their health sciences people together, and we talked about some of the ideas that they were having, and we talked about ways to have large impact, to collaborate, to think about that project and how it could involve the broader community to be involved, and also what type of focus or outcomes would you be seeking so that you could be sustainable and ongoing.
Alice Proffit, our guest here. You could find out more. Simply go online, livingwellfoundation.net, livingwellfoundation.net. I don't know if you've been hearing my stomach go off. It's not the thunder from last night. It is just I haven't had anything. So
okay, you had coffee.
That's all I've had is coffee. But anything else we didn't cover here this morning that you feel needs to be said? Because
real quickly,
sure,
sorry about that.
Yeah.
April 5th, this Wednesday, we're having a grant writing seminar in at ULM. At Kitty Degree Hall Auditorium. Anyone is welcome to attend, 8 o'clock. And that's where we will talk about what funders are looking for in this current environment, post-pandemic and post-disasters for our area. And then we will also show you how to do an application and a budget worksheet. And so then we're doing one at Ouachita Parish School Board Commons the next day, April 6th. I think that one's at 2 o'clock. I said 10 o'clock with Doug, but it's 2 o'clock. And then we're doing one in Winsboro at Franklin Parish at April 14th at 10 o'clock. That one's at 10 o'clock. And if we need to come to Lincoln Parish and somebody wants to sponsor us, help us get in here and get a group of people together before then, we will be glad to do it because the grant cycle opens April 15th. So probably through about April 20th, we could schedule a training if we needed to, or a meeting.
Well, get in touch with Alice, 396-5066, 396-5066. I appreciate you thinking of us.
Oh, thank you
come on
for
over
letting
here.
me come over.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. We're stream live. We're going to go back to the music. We'll kill the stream in just a second. You brought up Marcia Ball, so I'm going to play some Marcia Ball.
Marcia Ball,
and
love it.
Didn't you bring up Marcia Ball?
No, but that's
I thought you did bring up Marcia. Who'd you bring up
Love
over?
Marcia Ball.
You brought up. Oh no, Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie
Okay.
Raitt, yeah.
I'm not going to get
Another
into.
good one.
I know I'm not going to get into that debate, but here's Marcia Ball on XM 102. All right, we are still streaming, so there you have it, folks. You don't need this. This is done.
Okay.
I will kill the stream. She's Alice Proffit, the Living Well Foundation. Any questions, be sure to get in touch with her.
Please do.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
There.